Welcome to FinOps in Action. I'm your host, Alon Arvat. Each week, I'll sit down with FinOps experts to explore the toughest challenges between FinOps and engineering. This show is brought to you by Point 5, empowering teams to optimize cloud costs with deep detection and remediation tools that drive action. Hello, everyone, and welcome to FinOps in Action. Today, I'm really delighted to host one of the first adopters of the FinOps practice. Now, she's not only a FinOps leader, but she's also a professional dog trainer. I'm happy to welcome the Head of FinOps Engineering at Digital.ai, Diana Lezcano. Diana, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. Diana, please share with us what should be the FinOps practitioner's top priority?
So, my top priorities and what I think everyone should go with off the cuff is communication, is ensuring that you are communicating through multiple teams without any barriers. You're comfortable communicating to various leaders, various levels, and making sure that everyone is on the same page. And then, of course, my favorite subject is automation. So, automate everything as soon as possible, as early as possible to get yourself out of that spreadsheet chaos.
Spreadsheet chaos, definitely something to stay away from. And if you talk about communication, it's obviously a topic that being brought up a lot on the podcast. Do you feel there is such thing as over communication at FinOps?
There can be, but it also depends on the person's understanding of FinOps. And once people are in alignment, then that over communication doesn't happen. It's just a normal conversation like you and I are having, where we're getting together, talking about FinOps, like we're going to have a FinOps X. Um, and kind of and going from there. But at the beginning, it can feel like over communication because, okay, Diana already told us this. We know what's going on, and kind of and it goes from there.
So basically moving from communication to conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a great tip. And you mentioned automation. Automation is a big word that everyone takes it to a different place. When you say automation, what do you mean? Like, what do you want to automate? And maybe you have an example for us of things that you automated yourself.
So we have automated various various cleanup processes in our environments. I know engineers want to help; they're all on board, but there's times when they run their cleanup scripts when they're cleaning up their environments, and it may miss something. There's an Elastic IP sitting out there. There's an EBS volume that's just sitting there collecting dust and costing a bunch of money. So our scripts run on the back end to clean those up every either 2 days, every week. People are notified about those ahead of time, and then it goes from there.
Sounds scary cleaning things up. Is that only dev? Is that also in production?
Yes, it is actually in production as well as dev. I know it sounds really scary having anything to terminate or delete in production. But if you have the proper standards in place, then it makes it so much easier. You don't even have to think about it. And Elastic IPs, once they're detached, they're not going to be used again. So it doesn't matter if they're in production or dev, you're safe. Um, Volumes, we have a data retention policy in place so that we hold them for an extended period of time. Then from there, we will take a snapshot. They are tagged with certain attributes that keep them out of our automations if we need them to. And then every once in a while, we will go through, typically quarterly, and we will check those tags just to make sure someone's not putting the tags on there when they're not supposed to and just trying to keep things sitting around. We'll check. We have a versioning tag. So that tells us, okay, this was checked in this quarter in this year. And then we'll go out to those owners accordingly. Because, of course, we have the owner tag.
Great. So basically, things that are not tagged, you will identify them and then go to the resource owner to make sure he's fixing it.
Yep.
And Diana, can you share with us the process you've been to until you felt very confident to automate these use cases? So, were there a process of mapping what type of things you will feel very comfortable to delete automatically? How did you go about it?
So it was more of a process of ensuring engineers and leadership that nothing would break. We started in our dev environments and let people know, hey, this is what it's going to look like. You will have the option if you want to remove this from that automation, this resource, whatever it is, you will have the option to what we call protect it. And with protecting it, okay, cool. It kicks it out of that automation script so that we can go back and manually review it later on. Um, this went on for about 3 months, showing, okay, you're notified 2 weeks prior. This gives you plenty of time to go through this very long list of assets. It started off as very, very long, and over time, it's so small that people can go in and quickly check, or they just look at it and it's fine. They don't
Yes,
even worry about it. Um, but it after the 3 months with dev, then we moved on to, okay, now we're including production. We're gonna start with the Elastic IPs, and we slow rolled it out again with the volumes and so on and so forth.
very interesting. And I would guess that, in the end of the day, there are so many optimization opportunities out there. And I would guess there is a certain amount where you can completely automate. Some would still require engineering involvement to review the architecture, to review the usage patterns, etc. Do you tackle those optimization opportunities as well?
Absolutely. So that's where it comes into, let's take the common one, the GP2 to GP3 within AWS. It's a very easy automation, but sometimes it just doesn't work for whatever reason, whatever the code infrastructure is. So we're not able to make those changes. But if we can, we'll go ahead and put it into our script. There is the typical right sizing if things are over provisioned, but they're over provisioned for CPU versus memory. So it looks like they're not being used, but in actuality they are. So of course we have our engineers go in, check those. We do not give them long, long lists with those. Typically, they'll have a list of about 10 items to check, the most important 10 items, and then we'll go from there. A lot of times they'll go in and, "Hey, we found this on top of what you gave us," and I'm not gonna complain. Great. Thank you so much for being proactive. One of our teams is really great with this, with being proactive to I barely have to say anything to them anymore of, "Hey guys, what's going on here?" Now it's, "Thank you so much. I saw that you guys did this." I'm in a one of their Slack chats, and they are constantly doing cleanups and automations of, "We just took down, 80 snapshots or 83 AMIs." And while AMIs don't cost a lot, there is a cost attached to them. Um, for that storage component. So we've also started doing intelligent tiering with S3. So that also getting our engineers involved in that has helped us a lot as well.
That's really, really cool. And I really found it a very, very good tip to give 10 tasks, no more. I think that optimization efforts die in long, endless Excel spreadsheets. And I think that's actually a very, very good point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And something that, Diana, you and I talked in the past, and I found very fascinating is the fact that you told me that you can also personally take action yourself and doing some of these cleanups by yourself,
Yes.
not asking the engineers. How does that happen?
Well, that's a beautiful, beautiful piece here at Digital AI. I love it. Um, it's basically it steps in when there is no bandwidth. Or I have the bandwidth and hey, I see this. They verify, I give them all the metrics that they need, or they go into a tool that we use called Cloud Chipper. They see the metrics, and from there, we will go ahead and action accordingly. So if it's those GP2s to GP3s, I'll go ahead and make those switches. If it's cleaning up snapshots, I will go ahead and take care of that. Or if it's one of my engineers actually messaged me this morning of, hey, are you able to add this to the off hours workflow for, and then he gave me the list of instances when they were launched, all the specifics to them. So I will then go ahead and take that action, add them into our tooling, and enable those off hours so that uh, we're working together versus me being the bad cop all the time.
That's incredible. And I'm curious how you got to a point where engineers trust you to make changes in their production environment. Did that involve like a long process to gain their confidence, or just like, hey, that's our culture, and yeah, let's do it?
Well, when I first came in, it was me having to change the culture. So I was working with various teams to work on changing the culture. We have monthly stand-ups with those projects. A lot of times I will just ad hoc message them of, hey, this is coming up, just heads up. And they're okay, great, no problem. Um, Once they saw that I was trusted uh, to make these changes in their environments, because sometimes the engineers, that's their baby. That is their project. They don't want anyone to touch it, so they're afraid to do that. But hey, can we increase performance as well as reduce costs? This gets finance off your back as well as giving you more of what you need. So, helping them to understand that and giving them the visualization tools, it really brought that connection together.
Amazing. And just because I'm curious, do you also make changes in your infra as code as well?
Sometimes, within our Google environment, that is very much the case. And I will not make the changes in one of our Terraform scripts, but I will say, here's what we need, and I'll give it to a single person, and they go ahead and knock it out for me.
Incredible. And if we're being honest here, does that also create some conflicts with engineers that you're making changes or something? Maybe sometimes things go a bit wrong. Does that create conflicts?
Absolutely. It absolutely can. This actually did happen recently where we made a change. The change on our end was not the issue. The change on the vendor's end was the issue. And it's it cost a lot of money in our Snowflake environment. And as we all know, Snowflake is not cheap. Um, so from there, we went ahead. We did have a little bit of a battle internally of we need to test this. Let's shut it down for now, kill it, all that fun stuff. But let's tiptoe back into it cautiously. But still, we still need to go in and test it. So they're in now testing the environment, making sure that everything is good to go. Obviously, the a vendor was very apologetic with it, but it we caught it fast enough because we have those automations in place that let us know, hey, this has spiked within the past 4 hours. You need to do something about it. So versus it running overnight or, days, and that was a spike from $15, I'm just, estimates, $15 to $100. And while it doesn't seem like a big spike, for 4 hours, that's a huge spike. Uh, so that running 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, that's gonna create a lot of animosity between the the deployments and, any other tools that we're trying to test of, "I don't know, we don't wanna do that anymore." So, yeah, we have been through that, but because we've built the culture on the back end and that communication, we're able to work through those.
That's great. And I guess sometimes it's better to ask sorry than ask for permission.
Sometimes.
Cool. And anything you feel people are doing wrong when they engage with engineers?
From what I've experienced, when engaging with engineers, people are too focused on talking about cost versus talking about performance. Engineers do not care about cost. That's if I were going into a grocery store and I'm looking for groceries, but I have someone approach me trying to sell a car that I have no desire. My mindset is not looking for a car, it's I need these groceries. So it's the same kind of concept when working with engineers. You have to talk to them to what they care about. They care about performance, scalability, availability. So talk to those portions and leave the finance side very, very minimal or even just completely out of it.
Very interesting. And is that something, this is obviously the reality, but is that something that you feel will change in the future? Like 10 years from today, engineers will see cost as one of the things they need to take care of, just like performance or quality?
I think if we can get engineers to all take the FinOps for engineering uh, certification, they'll see the benefit. But it all starts with the education and the communication and the culture within an organization. So that's not how some people were taught. So it's a way of changing their thinking.
Absolutely. And my personal take is that a lot of the pillars that engineers are responsible for, they didn't feel responsible in the past. Even quality, which is extremely basic today. If you go back like 15 years ago, you had a QA organization. He was responsible for quality. Engineers just write the code. And it created a situation where the code was of very poor quality. That was the bottom line. And I think today, all engineers own quality. There's no question about it. And I really see it happening in cost as well. Like hopefully, now we're working on it, but hopefully, after everyone takes the certification of Finance for Engineers, in 10 years from today, they will see it as an integral part of their role.
Absolutely. And if we really think about it, it's an integral part of our paycheck. But a lot of times people forget that that's part of the aspect of it. So, coming from a business owner myself, that has always been my mindset. Um, Even when I was doing deployments 10 years ago, I was comfortable with cost of, okay, let's not use that region, guys uh, versus, oh, that region looks good. Let's just use that. And it's, twice the time, twice the cost of what it should be.
Absolutely. And you obviously drive the conversation with engineers mostly around performance and the technical aspects. I think that's very, very understood and makes sense. I wonder if there are specific financial reports that you do provide them and you feel it's important for them to track and follow.
Absolutely. So a couple of our teams have these reports automated. They're sent into a Slack channel. We utilize CloudShipper for those reports. It gives them the metrics, it gives them the CPU, it tells them how things are being utilized, if things could be right sized, if things could be turned off. So a couple people will go into the tool. Others will have the reports delivered to them just because they don't want to log into the tool. But we have configured it within CloudShipper to go ahead and have a separate view for everyone so that finance is not worried about engineering and engineering is not looking at the finance, but they can see the cost perspectives behind it of, oh, I didn't realize that this memory and this CPU was costing this much. I can absolutely change that. We don't need that much.
Cool. And if we're leaving aside for a second the optimization opportunities, do you also share with them reports about things like budget and spend metrics, or you say no, that's not interesting for engineers?
I do to the leaders. The leaders are in charge of their projects. So, of course, they're in charge of their budgets. And that is then on them to work with their engineers to go ahead and see how they can optimize accordingly. Typically, I'll make it a little bit easier I have a, hey, this is your spend. This is the budget overlapping. This is where I'm seeing some changes. Can you make some changes here? Versus just handing them a endless report that has too much on it, that just becomes overwhelming. And then we get into another bandwidth issue.
Got it. So budget for leaders, optimization for engineers.
Absolutely.
I got it right. That's great. And Diana, you worked at Digital.ai. So that means that we have to talk about FinOps for AI.
Absolutely.
So how do you handle that at Digital AI?
We started off with the automations, and that is just setting certain reports that come out to us. From there, we have implemented anomaly detection using AI to help us catch things a little bit faster. We use it with a 10% increase on a daily basis. Yes, it can be very frustrating when we're doing deployments. A lot of times, if we are doing deployments, we will turn it to a few more days versus every one day. But we do utilize it heavily with anomaly detection, and it has caught some great things.
Great. And you mentioned the fact that you're tracking percentage of increase. I would guess that can create some issues when there is accounts or services with very low spend. I know you spend on them $10, suddenly it became $15. It's 50% increase. But obviously, who cares? Okay, it's $5. So I wonder how you tackle these false positives or these potential problems.
I will remove them from our automations or our scripts. So with that, I will dismiss it for however long is necessary or for forever. Just because that does happen, especially when we are purchasing RIs or savings plans. Of course, there's going to be a huge spike in those accounts at that time, and then it's going to drop back off. So a lot of times we will go ahead and disable it for a period of time.
And the anomaly is on cost, right? You're not doing like things on usage, like there is a spike in usage. Is this something that you're looking into or not yet?
We do have spikes in usage or underutilization that we do utilize. I actually just set up some more yesterday. Speaking about that, around underutilization, because overutilization, that's very easy to grab. But you're going to hit barriers. If it's a production environment, clients are going to complain. So you're going to see something there. But with the underutilization, that's where we have more automation and triggers set in place.
Great. Diana, you have a very, very unique approach to FinOps. It's actually pretty fascinating. You also had experience in the past working for Cloudability. And I assume that there you got exposed to multiple types of organizations. Some of them are not cloud native, some of them are not as technical as digital AI. Do you feel that your approach can also be a good fit for a more traditional enterprise?
Oh, absolutely. If we even go before Cloudability and when I worked at JHC Technology, there was people that had no idea what cloud was when they came to us. They had started just randomly launching things into the cloud. It spiked their cost. And hey, guys, let me help you with this. What are you trying to do? And we would go and approach it like that. But that also starts them off with that cost visibility and awareness early on. It teaches them how to optimize, teaching them about tagging and how to properly track things, especially because finance does need those cost units, those business units or cost centers to be able to set budgets. So I was able to help them build that from the ground up for organizations that were in the middle of their journey, but wanting to go multi-cloud. Again, that was an education experience for them to give them a little bit more in depth of please don't just go in there and just go wild with it. Let's have some constraint, especially with security and permissions. That really comes into the cost and optimization side of things. If you're not giving people more than what they need and you're following the best practices of the cloud vendors, then you're able to scale much quicker.
Great. Diana, thank you so much for teaching us so much and sharing your experience. I think it's time that we'll learn a bit more about you,
Sure.
not only learning from you. And today you live in Colorado Springs, Colorado,
Mhm.
and you just moved to a new place, right?
Yes, I did. I'm definitely still getting used to it. It's I love it though. I love the cold weather. I know everyone most of the time loves warm weather. I'm very much the opposite. So cold weather is where it's at.
I apologize, I cannot relate to that whatsoever, but I respect your preferences. And did you grow up in Colorado or you moved there?
No, no, I'm actually from Maryland on the East Coast. I am very much used to eating seafood all the time. So now if I want seafood, I have to import it. But thankfully, I found a supplier in Maryland that will still give me my Maryland blue crabs.
Okay, that's great. And is there any book or movie you would like to recommend to our listeners?
I'll give you a book and a movie. So, a book that I absolutely love, there is a movie with it as well, and it follows the storyline of the book almost exactly, is Where the Heart Is. That is a very, very good book. It is very in depth, it's intricate. I did cry in a lot of parts of it. Um, but that was probably one of my favorite books I have ever read. For
What is it
my
about?
it's it's about a girl that, uh, gets pregnant at a young age and is left to at in a Walmart and ends up trying to raise her child in a Walmart, but is saved by a complete stranger that then raises her and helps her and her child to grow. It's truly an amazing, amazing book. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about
Wow,
it.
wow, 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 wow. I definitely need to grab a copy of
It is a very in-depth book. But
that.
on a lighter note, my favorite movie is Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. I have loved this movie since I was a child. I love Tim Burton. All of his movies are great, but Nightmare Before Christmas has to be one of my favorite. Most of the time, I don't watch it with anyone because I talk the words the entire time. So I don't want to annoy people while they watch it with me.
Oh, good. Cool. And what do you like to do outside of work?
Well, aside from what you shared at the beginning, train dogs, I absolutely love dog behavior. Have studied it for many, many years. I also do competitive ballroom and a little bit of singing. I used to do some voice acting as well, but I don't do that nearly as much anymore.
Yeah. So I can definitely hear you have the talent. Uh, is there anything you like to sing in particular or just everything?
Oh, absolutely. I love to sing Celine Dion and Whitney Houston songs. Those are my favorite.
Okay, that's great. Sound a lot of fun. Looking forward to hearing you singing one day. There.
Yep, you may hear me just walking around singing to myself at FinOps X. It's not uncommon.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Cool. And then, if anyone of our listeners want to reach out, ask questions, get advice, what is the best way to reach out?
Honestly, LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. I always have a tab open. So if I see the little icon go or the little bleep on my computer, it's the quickest and easiest way to get a hold of me.
That's great. Cool. Diana, thank you so much for a fascinating conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm sure our audience had a lot of fun. And our dear audience, thank you for listening us and continue listening to us. I think this has been an amazing episode. I learned a lot. I'm sure you've learned a lot as well. Please spread the word. Diana, thank you again. This has been another fascinating, interesting, fun episode of FinOps in Action. See you next time. That wraps up another episode of FinOps in Action. Thank you for joining. For show notes and more, please visit finopsinaction.com. This show is brought to you by Point 5, empowering teams to optimize cloud costs with tip detection and remediation tools that drive action.